The perception about God's nature is the key pillar in identifying the true God. Why? Well, because the misunderstanding of God's nature at the beginning leads to wrong conclusions that might be propagated as the pure outcome of logic and reason. For instance, assuming that God has the same nature of created things, or, in other words, is or has been subject once to the physical laws of the universe. The eminent physicist Stephen Hawking says, "It's reasonable to ask who or what created the universe, but if the answer is God, then the question has been merely deflected to who created God." Similarly, Richard Dawkins, the evolutionary biologist, has made the central argument of his best-selling book around who created the creator. Many religious apologists argue that this is a meaningless question simply because God is different, yet such answer is incomplete and can be refuted in almost all cases, as all religions agree in their own books and beliefs that God, by way or another, has been physically enclosed or trapped within this universe and has been literally subject to its laws. So, in this sense, why God is exceptionally not in need for a creator. Along history, people have considered different deities like darkness, light, stars, stones, animals, or planets that are all subject to the universal laws. Similarly, in Hinduism, we find Krishna walks on earth as a god in the form of man or avatar, which is the form of the god Vishnu, part of the Hindu Trinity. And we know Hercules, the fruit of the relation between Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmene. Yet, even in Abrahamic religions, we find that, according to the Old Testament, Jacob was given his blessed name Israel after wrestling on earth with God, or Son of God. In fact, the only and the absolute exception is Islam. In Islam, God is beyond this universe. Quran glorifies God and denies any sort of incarnation or similarity between him and anything of his own creation. There is nothing like him, and he is the all-hearer, the all-seer. Hence, for example, when a Muslim reads a phrase like "God is in heaven," he or she never imagines that God is like an object that is physically surrounded by heavens. Instead, a Muslim perceives such phrase as a figure of speech pointing to God's absolute rise over the universe and over all of his creatures. The same for a phrase like "God descends to heaven." It might be a metaphor, or it's about a descending that never ever means God is like an object physically trapped inside heavens. Anyone who believes God has incarnated or resided inside one of his creatures or inside the universe is not a Muslim, as he believes in what's known in Islam as hulul, which means the unity of God with one or all of his own creatures. Hence, the repeated emphasis in the Quran on denying any resemblance between God and any of his creatures. He begets not, nor was he begotten, and there is none co-equal or comparable to him. In other verse, there is nothing like him, and he is the all-hearer, the all-seer. The true creator, unlike other deities, he has never been subject to the laws of the universe or enclosed within, and asking such question is just like asking how many minutes in a kilogram, how many kilograms in a centimeter, or can you weigh the water? Those questions have no answer, as they are simply wrong questions. Consequently, yes, in Islam, the question who created God is meaningless, as Allah is the creator who doesn't resemble his creatures, and unlike other deities, he has never been subject to the laws of the universe. It has been once said that if you find your book under the bed, you will spontaneously ask, who has put my book there? However, if you find your brother or sister under the bed, you won't ask, who has put my brother there? You can't objectify your brother who moves by himself. Similarly, you cannot ask who created the creator. In fact, the origin of such question, as well as the origin of paganism, is the human arrogance. Man refused to accept the existence of something or being beyond his mind, something that he cannot imagine. In order to satisfy that arrogance, man either denied the existence of God or falsely represented God in a tangible physical forms under the dominion of his mind. To understand how arrogant we are, review the annual list of the newly discovered species. Tens of thousands of species have been with us on earth since thousands of years, and we have never known anything about them. Meanwhile, ask astronomers, how much do we know about the universe? 3%? 4%? Or alternatively, let's ask ourselves, have we ever been exposed to the optical illusion? Sure we have. Yet, in spite of our limited knowledge and vulnerable brains, we boldly ask about the Creator. Our arrogance refuses to accept the fact that our brain is just like our muscles or any other organ, has a certain capacity that it cannot go beyond. Our brains has been created to realize the existence of God and to understand His message. Yet our brain cannot fully realize or encompass His holy being and greatness. In Islam, God is different. God cannot be seen on earth. God cannot be subject to the universal laws. Hence, we find the Quranic assertion that the greatest pleasure in paradise is to see God's face, while the greatest pain and regret is to be deprived of that pleasure, not only in this life, but forever.